apply a X39 to the back of the neck. You apply one set of Icewave on the bottom of the feet on that same point. And then you're going to apply another set of Icewave patches on the upper torso. Now, you have a number of options here. I would suggest that you apply them here up on the shoulders. And we generally find that this location works very well with the location under the feet. So you'd have two sets of Icewave patches on. And you'll find that after, some people will respond immediately within a minute. You'll see their pain will drop 70%. Other people might take a little bit longer, might take 20 minutes. But it's a very easy protocol, and you don't have to be moving things around. So that would be if you had pain throughout the entire body. Let's say that you had someone which just had localized pain in the lower back. Well, you could simply do what we call bracket the pain, which would be applying a white patch on the right side of the pain and a tan patch on the left side. And that protocol we found over the years works extremely well. So you have a number of tools there with Icewave, a number of protocols that are very, very simple and extremely effective. And we've performed, I think it's 18 clinical studies on Icewave, and we've repeatedly shown that it is just a phenomenal product for managing pain. Okay, let's move on and take a look at some other things now. So let's say that you're using Icewave, you're getting good results, and you want to look at some other things. What else can you do to improve the quality of your life and make sure that this pain that you've had for many years doesn't come back? And of course, we're just talking about chronic pain now, not acute pain. Well, if pain is a bioelectrical phenomena as well as if it's a bioelectrical phenomenon as well as biochemical, what that must mean is that it has something to do with an imbalance of electrolytes, potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium. So what we would expect to find is that if this is true, there should be a link between electrolytes and pain management, and in fact, there is. This is the great news. So I want you to think about this for a moment. There are studies that we can find that show a link between pain management and potassium. This is not a bad article because it gives an overview of some of the benefits of potassium supplementation. You could get, hypothetically, enough potassium in your diet, but in modern diets, we're not getting enough. So I'd recommend you look at 500 milligrams or even 1,000 milligrams per day to supplement with potassium. You would take this as a potassium citrate powder. And there are enormous benefits to taking potassium. First of all, many of you probably drink alkaline water. That's fine. But what was found at Oxford is that it's actually potassium that regulates the alkalinity of the cell and maintains homeostasis between acid and alkalinity. So by taking potassium, we're alkalizing the body. Here we go. Potassium, in a study in 2008, shows a strong anti-pain effect. When was the last time you went to your doctor and said, "Doctor, I'm in pain," and the doctor said, "Well, great, I have a solution. I want you to eat avocados and bananas, and your pain is going to be just fine," right? Most, and I am not poking fun at doctors. I have nothing but admiration for doctors because they provide an extraordinarily valuable service. It's just that we know medical doctors, most of them, don't get the training in nutrition that we'd really want them to have. There are many doctors I've met that are an exception to this. The point is here is that there are alternatives, and something as simple and inexpensive as potassium has been shown to have a strong anti-pain effect. So yes, you can modify your diet, take sunflower seeds, avocados, bananas, those apricots, these things that are high in potassium, but it's certainly very convenient. I wouldn't recommend 6,000 milligrams a day, by the way. That's really high. On supplements, again, 500 to 1,000 milligrams. Another benefit is that potassium assists with the making the arteries more flexible. And as a result, potassium can reduce high blood pressure. And of course, this is really safe, really effective, and not going to be any toxic side effects like pharmaceutical drugs. So potassium is a way that you can help regulate your high blood pressure. One thing that I'll mention as a side note, since it's not here, and I did this research work 40 years ago, almost 40 years ago, just a little bit less, about 38 years ago, is I found that when you increase the amount of potassium in the cell, cancer cells die. I did this work with neuroblastomas, a TBJ neuroblastoma and a C1300. And the difference between the two is one is immunogenic and the other is non-immunogenic. But in any case, that doesn't matter. What matters is that because potassium is regulating the alkalinity of the cell, as you increase the amount of potassium in the body, you can reduce the proliferation of cancer cells or even kill cancer cells. But that's a separate story. So enormous benefits to potassium. Now, Jeff, I talked a little bit earlier. I made a promise that I was going to show people some of the things they could do, specifically men, on ways to improve sexual performance and get pain relief at the same time. And one of those things is potassium. This is a 3-part solution, okay? So for men that would like to improve their sexual performance and improve their health, reduce their risk of heart disease, reduce their risk of cancer, we're going to cover that now. One of them, though, is potassium. And the reason why potassium improves sexual performance, and I don't think I need to be any more explicit than that. The reason why it improves sexual performance is that potassium recycles nitric oxide. So nitric oxide, that most of you have heard of, is a vasodilator. It is what expands and relaxes the arteries and improves blood flow. And when men have erectile dysfunction or reduced sexual performance, this is typically an issue with them making or utilizing nitric oxide. They may have had damages to the endothelial lining where nitric oxide is made. But if they have a deficiency of potassium, it compounds the problem. So what we're getting at here is there's a 3-part solution, and it goes further than that, but we're just going to cover this today as an aside. One is you want to elevate nitric oxide. The other is you want to keep the nitric oxide in circulation, and potassium will do that. Okay. Now, speaking of which, let's talk about nitric oxide. This is a Nobel Prize winning discovery. And we could, again, talk for a long time about this. Louis Ignarro, who won the Nobel Prize for discovering nitric oxide. Nitric oxide, by the way, is a gas. So it's not something you can supplement with. It's something that is made in the human body. Traditionally, people have used arginine for making nitric oxide. And this is okay, but there's actually better ways to do it. If you have a diet rich in beets. Beets are a source of nitrates, naturally occurring nitrites and nitrates, and they will elevate nitric oxide. They convert very, very efficiently in the body. And there's even some supplements that offer sodium nitrite, I believe, which converts over to nitric oxide. Another way to do it, though, is with the amino acid citrulline, and this is found in watermelon. Many people notice men eating watermelon, it would give them an erection. And this is because the citrulline that is in watermelon converts over to arginine in the body, but it bypasses the arginase in the gut. So it's the citrulline is not destroyed in the gut the way arginine is. So citrulline is actually a very effective way of elevating nitric oxide. So if you're a man, if you're a man or woman, you're interested in using nitric oxide for pain relief, let's say about 3 grams in water. This would be at powder. And it doesn't have any flavor, so it's completely neutral. And it would be a similar dose if you wanted to use this for improving sexual performance. That really goes for men and women, but of course we would normally think about this for men. But the good news here is that with nitric oxide, not only has it been shown to be effective for pain relief, but of course because it elevates, because it's a vasodilator, it's going to improve circulation and improve the health of the heart. And nitric oxide also reduces the risk of heart attack and stroke. So I think it'd also be fair to say nitric oxide reduces blood pressure. So this is a wonderful way to help be part of managing pain and also getting a number of other benefits. So if you've been suffering with chronic pain, you're using tools like Icewave and X39, and you want to look at some ways of preventing that pain from coming back and really improving your health, this would be a very powerful way of doing that and getting some other benefits as well. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you something fun here. Here's the third component. Now, we talked about Jeff is peeking and looking ahead, probably like everybody else. So no harm done, Jeff. Okay, so you're going to take citrulline to elevate your nitric oxide. You're going to take your potassium to recirculate the nitric oxide, and both of them individually, we're going to help reduce and manage pain. What else would we want to do? Well, we'd want to use a PDE5 inhibitor because this will keep the nitric oxide more active. And of course, we know that synthetic PDE5 inhibitors are things like Viagra. And in fact, Viagra was originally invented as a heart medication, but then when men started getting erections, Pfizer changed the way that they wanted to market it, and Viagra was born. But there are many natural PDE5 inhibitors, some of them more effective than others. There's one called horny goatweed that many men have heard of in the natural products community, and that is all fine. But here's what I happened to find this patent quite by accident when doing some research on an unrelated subject. I was looking for something that would actually improve CGMP levels because this is related to an anti-aging effect in the body. And I happened to come across this patent. So this would be mangosteen peel extract. This would be one of them. And it is relatively easy to get. Here in the United States, I found this on the internet. I found it being sold on Amazon, which I was quite surprised at because it's not something that is typically available over the counter. But mangosteen peel extract, it's a powder. You just take a small amount, and you could take this at bedtime with your citrulline and your potassium. This will act as a PDE5 inhibitor and will make the nitric oxide more effective. And of course, this is also going to improve energy production in the body, and as a result can contribute to pain relief. But here, very expressly, it's being used for improving sexual performance in men. Okay, now I have fulfilled my promise. Now I want to talk about another one because people's diets are so poor today because of demineralization of the soil. And I'll try to get through some of these last things quickly so we leave room for questions. But do not underestimate the power of copper. Back in the 1950s, the recommended daily allowance of copper was 3 milligrams. Today, it's less than a third of that. And if you look online, you'll see that doctors will say there is no connection between copper and pain relief. And this is simply untrue, because there are plenty of studies that show what happens when we get a copper deficiency. This article is going to lay them out, but just to highlight the first one, fatigue and weakness. That is a known symptom of a copper deficiency. Well, what have we been talking about is that pain relief results from poor energy flow. And if someone is fatigued, they've got poor energy flow. So I would say this is a pretty strong clue that copper contributes to pain relief. It even gets more obvious than that. Copper is part of cytochrome C oxidase. It's a copper-containing enzyme. And we know that this enzyme is absolutely necessary for the production of energy in the cell. So if you don't have cytochrome C oxidase, you're out of luck. So when we have copper deficiencies, it goes without saying, we're going to have a reduced capacity to make energy in the cell. If we have a reduced capacity to make energy in the cell, we're going to have inflammation and we're going to have pain. So very strong connection here between copper and pain relief. And it's cheap, 2.5 milligrams a day, very inexpensive. Here's another, I thought I'd show you a clinical study here. This is extraordinary because this shows that copper deficiency is linked to permanent neurological damage. And I don't know about you, but when I think of neurological damage, I think of the nerves and I think of pain. So it seems ludicrous to me that in the literature, there would be studies saying there's no connection between copper and pain. It's just silly. Truth of the matter is that we can use very small amounts of copper to assist energy production in the body, protect us from viruses, protect us from bacterial infections, and help manage our pain. All right, very quickly now, some other tools that you may have. Let's say that you have a chronic injury and it's not healing because you have scar tissue. You've got to get rid of the scar tissue to heal. One enzyme to do that is called serrapeptase. Many of you may not have heard of it before, but the benefit of using serrapeptase is that it can break down this scar tissue and allow your body to heal. It also, by itself, has anti-inflammatory properties. I am not a medical doctor, should have said that on the front end. This is all for information and to take you to your healthcare practitioner. But things like serrapeptase, if you already have a heart condition, you're on blood thinners, talk to your doctor first. Okay, a few things here very quickly. Taurine. Taurine is an amino acid, and it's a very powerful anti-aging amino acid, and it has a host of benefits. But here, now we have a study showing that taurine induces significant analgesic effects. So we can use something as simple as the amino acid taurine to get pain relief, support pain relief, and to also promote anti-aging. Also produces a relaxation effect. Here's another study. This is incredible. Taurine is a therapeutic agent. We know that taurine is actually more effective than pharmaceutical drugs at reducing blood pressure. So again, you could be using taurine with the patches as part of an overall program to manage pain, and here you're going to be able to keep your blood sugar under control and your blood pressure under control. Magnesium, we've talked about this many times, so I'll just skip through it. Most people have a magnesium deficiency. Like potassium, magnesium is an electrolyte. So you absolutely want to include something like magnesium glycinate in your daily supplement package to help manage pain. And then last but not least, I want to mention this. DMSO has really been attacked by the FDA and the medical community over the years, probably because it's been found effective in treating a whole variety of different diseases like cancer and different viruses. And DMSO can be applied topically to areas of pain and acts as a very powerful anti-inflammatory. Now, I will say a caution on this is that DMSO is a blood thinner, and you can't take too much of it. Another downside to DMSO, it leaves the breath smelling like garlic. So it has its downsides, but it is a tool that you're going to have in your arsenal for managing very severe inflammation and pain. So, Jeff, I probably went a little bit longer than I wanted to. We can go right to questions. But I think the important thing here is that when someone is suffering in pain, there are an enormous number of options that they can be using to manage the pain. People don't have to live with it. There's any number of different things that they can do, and preferably take a holistic approach and use our patches with proper diet, proper supplementation, exercise, sleep, hydration, and people will get amazing effects with it.
Well, thank you so much for the wisdom and walking through that. I took a tremendous number of notes as always. We did have some questions come in, so I'll try to pick out a couple. Looks like we have time for probably 3, 4, depending on how long they are. But you are qualified. You're not a medical doctor, but a lot of the questions around pain come in. What's your recommendation, or have you come across any literature research around headaches or migraines, and maybe the best way to manage those?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a number of things that people suffering with migraines can do. Number one, everything that we discussed in this webinar would still apply. So I would definitely recommend they use things like taurine to relax the nervous system, to use magnesium and use potassium, use citrulline. And then there is a compound called phosphatidylserine. Phosphatidylserine is a nootropic, and it's used for obviously improving cognition. But some people that use phosphatidylserine have shown, and serine is S-E-R-I-N-E, people that use phosphatidylserine have reported a reduction in migraines. So, so I would be using those options. Citrulline, but in addition to our patches, of course, citrulline, potassium, phosphatidylserine, taurine, magnesium, all really great options for managing migraines.
Very good. Now, there are a lot of questions and comments coming in on the supplements that we're looking to launch, and many of those are asking the question, you brought up several supplements. What will those contain? And, are those in line with some of the things that you've talked about today?
Absolutely. So, of course, we did an entire session on this at the Vision Conference, and the supplements that we're coming out with, which is a morning formula and an evening formula, are designed to work with all of the patches. So the daytime formula works with all of the daytime patches, evening formula with all the evening. So these formulas will have they'll have the ingredients that we've been talking about today. Many of them, anyway. Not all of them, but many of them.
Very good.
Yeah.
Another question that came in is kind of twofold. What's the best source of copper? And then second to that is, would you need to still supplement copper, when wearing an X39 patch, for example?
So it depends on diet. And the best, I'm sorry to say for most people, but the best source of copper from the diet would be with liver. Now, I love liver, and there's a number of great benefits to liver, but I don't eat it every day, and many people don't, and that's totally fine. But one of the next best sources of copper is going to be from dark chocolate. And we do know that dark chocolate has a whole host of benefits. 72% cacao and above is even going to support the stem cell activity in the body. Wheatgrass is another great source of copper. But to cover, I would say taking 2.5 milligrams of copper glycinate daily, it would be a good way to supplement with copper on a daily basis.
Very good. Okay, we maybe have time for one more here. So this is probably longer than a couple of minute question, but somebody said, when you were talking at the beginning of how you used to travel the world and do meetings specifically around Icewave, maybe just a little bit more context on how you might approach a demonstration or how you might, go about that during a meeting that would be the most effective for demonstrating Icewave.
Yeah, so to put this in context, we've given 3-hour training sessions in the past on how to use Icewave for a whole variety of circumstances. But I would say there are several steps involved for an Icewave demo. The first one is you want to find out, is this an acute or chronic pain? And is the person in pain when you're patching them? And also, have they taken a pharmaceutical drug? If they say, yeah, I was in pain, but I took pain medication an hour ago, okay, well, you're not really going to know if the patches are going to work or not. So you want to collect some of that information. So let's say the person says, yeah, I'm in pain now, and it's like a 10 out of 10. Okay. Then you want to find out, how long has the person been in pain? Is it acute or chronic? Is this something they did in the a couple of days ago, or has it been going on for years? That's good information to have. You also want to find out, is the pain localized? Is it intense in one area, or is the pain kind of throughout the body? That's going to change about how you do a patch protocol. So spending 1 or 2 minutes collecting this information up front is going to determine where you put the patches. Now, that all said, for someone getting started, keep it simple. X39 on the back of the neck, Icewave on the bottom of the feet, and then maybe a second set of Icewave on top of the shoulders, and you're good to go.
Love it. Well, David, as always, thank you so much for your time and wisdom and for this webinar. I know we are just about out of time. In closing, is there anything else that you'd like to share with the community here?
I think the thing that I would say, Jeff, is the amazing thing about our planet that God created is that it is full of natural solutions. Even in the Bible, it talks about plants being our medicine. And this is so true. So if we turn to nature, and we're going to be able to find solutions to most of life's problems. And so when a person is suffering in pain, which everyone has been at one point, we know how terrible and debilitating it is. And the wonderful news is that we have so many things at our disposal today for relieving pain, and it's not necessary for someone to have to suffer. There's solutions.
Thank you so much. All right, everyone, that's it for us. We're at the hour, and thank you. We'll see you next month.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.